Action now with General Jack Keane, the U.S. four-star general, Fox News senior strategic analyst, much more. General, it's true, those are pretty damning accusations that some of these UN personnel actually joined Hamas in these attacks on October 7th. What do you make of it?
Oh, yeah, it's a stunning revelation. I mean, it's well known that this UN organization has always had an anti-Israel bias to it for a number of years, and the United States, multiple administrations, have objected to them for that reason. But this is incredible that they would participate in a murderous attack that Hamas did on October the 7th, and certainly an accounting has to be taking place here. An independent investigation they've agreed to, that's the right step, certainly. But, I mean, this whole organization, I think, needs to be holistically looked at in terms of what does it really stand for.
And the role of Iran, now as this war has expanded. I had a chance to talk to the Pentagon spokesman, General Ryder, on this very subject and going after Houthi rebels with clear links to Iran. And he said that they are indeed making progress going after these rebels. I want you to react to this, General. What do you say about their ability to attack, U.S. element shipping interests in the Red Sea now? How much has that been degraded?
Yeah, so as you highlight, since January 11, we assess that we have successfully destroyed or degraded over 20 missiles and 25 missile launch and deployment facilities, as well as a variety of other capabilities to include coastal radars, unmanned aerial vehicles, aerial surveillance, and weapons storage areas.
All right, they might have been degraded somewhat, but they're not degraded completely, General. They still fire off drones and other such mechanisms, so they're not completely silenced. What do you make of things?
Yeah, I mean, public sources indicate probably about 30% have been destroyed, so there's significant capability left. I believe the administration was slow to move to this, but they finally are moving in the right direction. I mean, what's needed here is a sustained campaign, literally focus on taking this capability away from them, and it's finite what they have, and they can just stay at it until it's completely gone or somewhat ineffective. When you take the radar systems down, their command and control systems, it's hard to operate anything else. So you don't have to destroy every rocket, every missile, but you have to render their capability ineffective, and that is what they're focused on. The second thing, and this is equally as important, is you've got to stop the transshipment of rockets and missiles, spare parts, and other things from Iran to Yemen. And we have to aggressively step and do that. We were not doing that initially, and I believe we are doing that now, because that is absolutely critical as well, Neil.
I wondered, General, I was looking forward to talk to you about this, all these revelations that have come out via leaked audio from Benjamin Netanyahu, very critical, for example, of Qatar having any role in a mediated future Gaza world. He cited the fact, which everyone knows, that a lot of the Hamas higher-ups have very luxurious lifestyles in Qatar. Between that and a lot of pressure coming from the White House on how to conduct this war, he seems to have snapped. He's had it. I'm just wondering what you make of it all.
Yeah, well, certainly there's significant pressure on Prime Minister Netanyahu, certainly coming, from our own White House, and that's largely about the conduct of the war, the Palestinian casualties. I do think that the IDF has changed some of their tactics. The air bombardment campaigns have been dramatically reduced. But the Israelis do not want to change their ground campaigns. And I wish the administration would stay out of the tactics of how to conduct these operations. I mean, first of all, I don't think they have the experience. Secondly, I think this is really the Prime Minister and IDF's objective, to try to destroy Hamas. That certainly is an aspiration. It's going to be tough to achieve, but they know full well. I mean, the Israelis want a complete military victory. What does Hamas want? They just want to survive with their leaders and some of their fighters. They're not interested. They know they can't win militarily, but if they survive with leaders and fighters, they win in their minds. They have achieved a strategic victory. They already have international condemnation of Israel in a way we have never seen in the past. And those are the things that are certainly driving Hamas here. So Israel understands this, and that's why they want to stamp them out, dismantle them as much as they can, and certainly destroy the fact that they would have a remaining political entity.
Yeah, and they're dealing with this PR war that they're losing right now, and whether it's fair or not, it is what it is. So, General, thank you very much, and for your incredible service to this country. General Jack Keane, we'll have more after this.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.